Okay. Well.
Well.
All right. What's up, everybody? We're here in my car. I got
This is
Molly in
Starbucks.
town. We got our Starbies and don't show it to Molly.
I don't care if you eat a perfect bar. I'd rather eat a meal, though.
I told them in the store where I buy these that I've been eating these. What is it? 2024? It has to be at least like 12 or 13 years.
The whole time I've known you.
Yeah.
The whole time I've known you, she's eating a perfect bar.
I'm so
every
glad
day.
they haven't gone out of business.
I know.
I don't know what
I feel like you're keeping them in business.
Probably.
So Perfect Bar, reach out to Miranda.
I know. They've given me stuff before, actually.
They have.
They have. We're here. We're going to go for a little drive and catch up because Molly just came in town and we haven't seen each other for a while. But also, we'll talk about... I think I'm supposed to lower this. Nope.
Lower
it's not
what?
going to go lower. My steering wheel so that it's not in the thing.
Oh. I think that's part of it. I think it looks, makes it more authentic.
Okay. We're going to talk about nutrition stuff.
Yes. Maybe some other things.
Just like, whatever comes up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to tell them your coffee order? I know it's really complicated.
I was just going to ask him
Somebody's
yours.
gonna
Okay,
ask that,
so
probably.
mine is a venti cold brew, just black. I
Mine
like
is
my coffee to taste like coffee.
Yes, mine is. Lately I've been liking a milkshake. Apparently, this is a venti cold brew with some light sweet cream foam on top. You have to say light because this isn't my usual Starbucks, and sometimes they can get a little heavy-handed with it.
Heavy-handed with it. Okay.
Heavy-handed.
And then I'm starving, and after this we're gonna film a vault workout,
2025 vault.
which I think the one that I told you
Yes,
is
you're
not
wrong.
what we're doing.
You're wrong.
They switched it.
They switched it, which ours sounds worse.
I know. Well, because I told Julian, I was like, yeah, I think mine's like this, this, this. And he's like, no, it's not. It's this and this. And I was like...
And I would have preferred the original version.
I forgot that they switched us. I can't
Miranda's
remember
car,
why.
when you start driving, the seatbelt like tightens a little bit. Just gives you a little hug before you
lets
start
you know
going.
that you're
so nice.
I don't know where I'm going to go. At some point, we could just like stop by the office and like tell Caitlin to come out or something.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we'll get pulled over. We'll see where the drive takes us.
I don't have a license. My license is expired.
We're already starting on a dead-end road. Where's this road going?
Oh, shoot. I forgot this road is closed. I don't have a license. My license is expired. Julian was trying to renew it this morning, and their system was down.
Of course. Why is it like that when you finally go to do the annoying task? Then there's a roadblock with the technology, and then you can't get anyone on the phone
And then
to
it's
help
like,
you.
I tried 3 months ago, and you guys, the one day that I tried, it didn't work. So I gave up. So now we're just in the Home Depot
parking lot.
So yeah, nutrition. Here's the thing. Molly and I obviously been good friends for a long time, but I was telling her and Kariana actually recently that my nutrition lately, and by lately I mean for like a year and a half, has been all over the place. Like I've never gone so far as like, hey, I'm eating a lot of fast food and stuff now, because that's just not, it doesn't even occur to me to do that.
Yes.
But definitely I've had several periods where I'm not eating enough, which that's like par for the course
That's
for
very
me.
normal. My job when we used to compete together was to get her to eat. That was my job.
You guys used to make me send photo evidence of my
of
food.
the food that she ate.
You and Jason would say, we need pictures of everything that you eat today.
Especially on competition days, because nerves would get going and then you wouldn't eat. So we had to start the day with French toast. Not me, her. I always eat.
I would have to eat, I would eat French toast. Well, it was like in between the track and the regular workout days too. Like when we would go to the track and then have our regular training, we would all go and everyone would make me eat.
Okay, so your nutrition, where are you at with it?
Well, okay, so it's been like, there was probably like a 6-month window where, Julian too, because there was some stress going on, we just stopped eating lunch.
Yes,
all together, just no lunch. Like I would eat breakfast and then a perfect bar, and then nothing, and then dinner. And we were still working out and stuff, but it was just, that was not good. Where we're at right now, I would say, is I just end up eating like what my kids are eating for breakfast, which is not, I mean, it's eggs and like some sort of meat, but it's like their pancakes or waffles or whatever. I think the portion's probably too small still.
Well, and I think a lot of parents can relate to that, because sometimes you get so busy, especially like getting out the door for school, making them their lunch, and you're just like, oh, I'll eat the scraps of whatever's left over because we got to get out the door.
Right. And so it's like, what's the mix called? I can't remember the brand, but it's like a red, shoot. Anyways, it's like a cleaner pancake mix, whatever. And I try to put like banana,
Bob
protein.
Mills?
No.
No.
I put like banana and protein powder and egg and stuff in it, so there's not just the water in the mix.
Yeah.
But yeah, I usually end up, and this is like, right now, this has only been, basically since we went to Scotland. Before we went to Scotland, the breakfast was going better, but since we've been back. So there's that, and then I still eat my perfect bar, but I try to eat some sort of lunch.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like it's like some sort of meat and like an apple.
Yeah.
Like back to when I was like full paleo.
Oh yeah, full paleo vibes. No rice up in here.
And then I was on this kick of like eating a little tiny like kid-sized bowl of cereal at night, which is very odd for me.
Cereal. I mean, it's like, what's your like OG go-to cereal if you're gonna have cereal?
Well, I don't buy any of the cereals. It's like a granola that we get.
Yes, but if we're talking like childhood vibes, like you're going like full nostalgic, what would you have?
When I was little, my parents bought very boring cereal.
Same. My mom, we had our camping cereal we'd get every once in a while, but we didn't have like the full fun cereal.
We had Rice Chex, but then what we would do, so it's like, oh, Rice Chex, that's not sugary, until my mom would slice a banana to put in it, fine. But then we would pour like table sugar on top of it.
Yes, the table sugar. I would say Cinnamon Toast Crunch was definitely my favorite when I was younger. Okay, so you've obviously done so much with your nutrition, right? You've you've been here, there, and everywhere with it. You've done the paleo.
Well, that's the thing that saves me, right? So I would say the only thing that's saving me right now is I'm very conscious of like, I need to eat enough protein.
Yes.
I probably don't eat, I know I don't eat very many fruits and veggies, like enough. But I'm pretty conscious of like, even if I'm just like grabbing meat out of our fridge and eating that sometimes. So that's saving me, but I like definitely need like a reset. I've been trying to cook more.
Right. So I was going to say, what habits are you focusing on right now? Or you're like, okay, I wasn't eating enough. I've obviously done all the stuff with my nutrition, but like right now where I'm at in my life, what habits are you focusing on?
I've been trying to eat more.
Yeah.
Or cook more.
Cook more so that you can eat more.
Right. So like preparing lunches for me and Julian.
Yes.
Because he's totally fine. And this is like maybe like, I'm really not trying to make a joke about eating disorders, but I don't know what else to call it. My version of like weird eating thing.
Your like thing, yes.
Is I get really uncomfortable with eating out a lot.
Yes.
Like I feel like it, like, I don't know. I just have a hard time. It's like he'll just go grab lunch and he'll do it every day.
That's Adam. Like my husband can be the same way where it's like, I'm just going to go grab something, where after a while, I just like eating food at home. Mm-hmm. I just enjoy it more.
And so, like, and I didn't used to be like that because when we were competing, I ate Chipotle every day. But I know I can't take in the amount of calories as I did when we were competing.
Right. It was like a necessity back then.
Right. So I'll just not eat lunch if I don't have something prepared. I'll eat out like maybe 2 days a week and feel comfortable with it, but like more than that, and I just will stop eating lunch because I'm like, I'm eating out too much.
Right.
So that's a weird thing for me. But so yeah, I've been trying to make lunches and like just become a better cook. Like I didn't grow up knowing how to cook. Like my mom was not like somebody who's taught us that stuff and didn't really do it that much.
Well, and I think that's like, and working with the Street Parking members for so long in nutrition, this is what I hear from a lot of people, is they don't feel super comfortable in the kitchen. So it's intimidating to get in there. It's kind of almost like, like our workouts. Like if people get, they're doing shift workouts, they can get intimidated to maybe dip into like program A or B or some of the other versions. And same thing with like the kitchen. I think it can become really intimidating, and then you're like, oh, maybe I'll want to go make this recipe, and you go look it up and you're like, holy crap, it has all these different things. I don't even know what this stuff is called. I don't know where you find this spice. And it makes it harder and more intimidating to get in the kitchen. Yeah,
because that's what we were talking about before. Like, I've been making more recipes. I made this one last night that I had seen like on Kariana's page or something like that. And it's super tasty. It's like this like casserole type thing. But by the time I made it, because I'm not like really efficient at cooking, and because Crew was like helping.
Yes, helping.
It was like an hour and a half later, and it's super tasty. It's like this chicken, kale, corn, peppers, like casserole thing. But it's only going to feed me and Julian for 3 days. And it was a lot, like it was an hour and a half making it.
Uh-huh.
And so that's where I can totally see where people are like, I don't have time for this. Well, like, of course you don't, because if you have to dedicate an hour and a half for 3 lunches, you're looking at 3 hours of prep time just for like lunch.
Well,
of course.
that's a lot of the times we hear that from people of like, oh, I just need more recipes. And I think I would actually argue that I think people need to actually learn to simplify their nutrition because a lot of the times people are very unrealistic with the time they can dedicate to nutrition. So they get into these complicated recipes that take forever to grocery shop. It takes you forever because you're reading each instruction to make sure you're not messing it up. You're doing far more, you usually use far more dishes because you're like, oh, I need another bowl for that. I need to mix that up. And it makes the process so much more complicated. So like, that's what I always tell people is you likely don't need more recipes. You need to like learn how to simplify your meals. And by simplifying, it's not like, oh, you need to eat foods you don't like or that they don't taste well. It's just like, okay, how can you make a few of your staple things that you're going to have every week, kind of like your set it and forget it. And then maybe once a week you explore the extravagant recipe like you're talking about, which you're doing, right?
Yeah, well, I'm just doing it because I want to learn how to be a better cook, not because I think it's necessary.
Yeah.
Like, the way that Julian and I have normally eaten is like, we'll just cook a bunch of meat, rice, sweet potatoes, and then have like salad mix, and we just like throw it in. But he makes all the meats, and so it leaves me feeling like, well, I want to learn how to cook. So the recipe thing for us is more because I want to play around with it and do it and like have that as a skill, not because I think it's like I need to have this casserole thing to like.
Well, and the bulk prep is great too because it really eating is just different combination meals are just different combinations of foods together. And like a lot of the times people get hung up in their meals like making sense, where it's like, no, you can just bulk prep and one night you have a meal and then you swap out the potatoes and put in rice, or the next night you swap in the salad mixture instead of your roasted vegetables. Like it's all simple swaps. So yeah, making it less complicated, which is kind of the goal of nutrition and street parking. Make it less complicated, just like our fitness.
Yeah, right. It's the same with the fitness. Like, so that's why I wanted to say like, hey, me doing recipes isn't because like I think everybody needs to have recipes.
Yeah.
And it's not like gonna fix I just need to eat more. And actually the most simple way to do it would just be to do what we've been doing in the past.
The bulk prep.
I just want to learn how to, and it's like the same with your fitness. Like people will want to do this new thing and it's more because they're bored than because it's necessary for their fitness. And that's fine, but you got to like recognize, am I doing this because I'm bored or because I think it's necessary? And that's like not the same thing.
Yep.
For sure. What do you think? So what do you see, because you do all the challenges and all the small groups and you're on the Facebook group and people, I'm sure, I can't even imagine your DMs. By the way, Molly's in charge of nutrition because I cannot.
Really, I got hired because she needed somebody to run a challenge in 2017.
And
she was like,
because
hey.
I can't, like, people are insane about everything. And they're crazy about their workouts and what they think is like necessary and all of that, but the nutrition thing is, it's people are nuts.
I think it's hard. There's definitely a lot more tied into nutrition. It could be there's a lot more emotion, because of maybe how you were raised, and food can be a coping mechanism. There's so many, culturally there's so many different ties to it, so it does make it can become more complicated than it needs to be because there's more layers to it.
Yeah, so what do you see right now in because it might not be the same answer that you would have given last year or 2 years ago. Like, what do you see people, a concept that they're not getting? And like, you don't have to be nice about it. You can like, you don't have to like name names.
No, that it needs to be complicated.
Okay.
That it needs to be something where you are eliminating a macronutrient or you can't eat foods that you love. Like, that it has to be this thing that runs your life. Like the easiest way that I like to describe it is like your nutrition should fit into your life, not the other way around. You shouldn't be trying to make your life fit into your nutrition. And I think some people think that it needs to be this extreme overhaul in order to see results or reach their goals, where a lot of the times they're missing the mark on the more simple habits that we talk about, right? More water, more protein, cooking meals at home. So I'd say that that's the bigger thing, is people think it needs to be complicated, and people are not honest with themselves about their lack of consistency.
Do you want to know what I feel like I've seen lately? And I was going to like bring this up to Danny too when he's here tomorrow, because he's been like doing this for a very long time, like how we have.
Yeah.
I feel like when I got into fitness, so even like pre-CrossFit, right? I was all about like you can just imagine. When I was like in the bodybuilding scene, it was like bars and shakes.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe
I did
some tuna?
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
have tuna too?
When I was actually prepping for the competition, yes. But it was
Tuna
like
and rice cakes.
there were when I actually worked at this place too, where we had Apex. I don't even know if that brand's still around, but they had the Apex cookies and the Apex protein powder and the Apex like breakfast. And I ate, that was like 90% of my diet was some sort of supplement.
Yes, that's the supplements. Yes.
And then I got into CrossFit, and it was at first it was more like everyone was zone, and then it went paleo, and like it was fully paleo. And then I've seen that evolution where, like what you're saying, like the carnivore or like this or that, where people, it's just even EC, like I was friends with EC when she like would not eat.
Oh, didn't she travel like with her own oil and like?
Yes. We all got, I mean, she probably got the most crazy.
Yes.
But it's where she learned so much. But like she wouldn't eat like certain vegetables because they were nightshades. And she was like taking them off of her salad and stuff. And we all went like hardcore. But I feel like what I'm seeing, and this is not necessarily in our community, but on the internet in general, where I feel like people are going back down the rabbit hole of trying to make not healthy food healthy by calling it like a bar. Or I feel like that's become more popular.
Protein has done that. Everything. They'll be like, this cookie is packed with protein, so you can eat it because protein is like the king of macronutrients, and protein. So you're seeing like all these shit products come out with more protein, but pushing it like it's a healthy item.
Well, it's like a weird thing where that happened, and then also the like people trying to find I don't know, it's like people trying to find balance, but then like
swinging the pendulum too
far. Like I feel like we're going back, and I feel that way with training too. Yeah, where it's like we all like it was like buys and tries and separating all this stuff, and then it's like we all found CrossFit, and then it became competitive CrossFit. And now I feel like everybody's like, I'm just going to go back and do isolation only. And now it's like, hold on, this isn't new. Like this is what we were all doing before. And it's just, like, do you see that in nutrition? Like, do you feel like people also are, because back when I would eat that stuff, like I would have the Kashi cereal or this or that, I because it was a healthy brand, or because it was packed with protein, I just thought, well, I eat healthy. Yes. But the sugar content and the like ingredients list is not any better than these other things.
Exactly.
Like, do you see that happening more now than a couple of years ago, or am I like...
No, I think that people are doing that, and especially with influencers pushing different products and things like that, I think for sure we're seeing that pendulum swing back that way.
Yeah. I feel like we went too hardcore in one direction in both the training and the nutrition, and now people are like... and it's like, well, hold on, let's not like lose all the things that we learned along the way. But I do feel that, and that's like, I'm assuming a big problem, that if someone's trying to lose weight and they're not processing how many calories are in all that stuff, and how it's not filling them and everything, like,
well, even like the supplements that get pushed too, and that goes back to like Instagram and influencers and things like that, you know, people that'll ask like, you know, should I add in creatine? And it's like, well, there's a lot of variables if you should add in supplements. It's like, well, are you training to the volume of like where you can benefit from having creatine? And are you also eating enough protein? What does your overall food look like in your diet? So a lot of the times people are like, I'm not sleeping. I barely drink any water. I live on coffee, but I'm thinking about picking up this greens and creatine. Will that help me reach my goal? So that's always in the face too, is the supplement stuff. Yeah. But I mean, as far as like, for the community and street parking, we do have some fun stuff coming up in 2025.
Yeah, okay, so that's like a good segue. So you see people struggling with like feeling like they need to do too much. Yes. And I see that also, and I see people like kind of like trying to justify treat foods. Yes. Because they have a different label on them. Yes. And how that can like hold people back. So I know we haven't always, but since, you know, the fall of 2017, we started nutrition challenges. And let's be real, those beginning nutrition challenges were extreme. I mean, we were questioning red wine vinegar. It was a little extreme. I don't remember that. We went pretty extreme. We've done
both sides of things with our challenges. We've done more extreme, like when we started very I would say very strict paleo, and then the pendulum swung and we got really soft with our challenges. Not soft, but just kind of more lackadaisical, like, oh, here's the things we're doing, but it's okay, you can bend the rules and do what you want. So we've kind of done both extremes.
Well, it's kind of like parenting, right? Like you're like, I'm going to be a gentle parent. And then you're like, this isn't freaking working. And my kids like boss me around all day. Last night, Knox, I'm like so over it. Because on Sundays, every other Sunday, I help out at the church. So I'm like in these like classes with 22, 3 to 4 year olds. And then it just like go home with my own kids. And I'm trying to, anyways, I just had my head down on the table. And Knox comes over to me and goes, Mama, I feel bad for you. And I was like, why? He goes, because Banner and crew just boss you around all day. And it's like that. It's like, it's like we started out as being like hardcore parents, I guess, to our community.
Yes.
With fitness and nutrition.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh, we're going to do gentle parenting because we don't, we're hurting people's feelings and we want everyone to feel included. But then it's like, they're not actually learning anything.
No.
They're just like figuring out loopholes for all these like guidelines that we are trying to do, and we're like, whatever, just do what you want.
Yes.
Because it's your, it's your journey or whatever. And then, but it's not actually helpful. Kind of like, it's not helping your kids if you just let them do whatever they want. Like eventually, the goal is for you not to have to tell them to do everything for them anymore.
Yes.
And so I think in both fitness and nutrition, we got to like find that middle ground. And people are going to be butthurt about it on either way, right?
Either way.
They always are.
Yes, they always are. And I think, we all have a skewed perception on nutrition challenges depending on what you've done. I mean, there's like the way extreme 75 hards where you just like are like, this thing is running my life. I know some people love it, but there's extremes, and I know everyone has different experiences with nutrition challenges, but we haven't done one since I think the last one we did was fall of 2023, and we're excited because next year we want to bring some of the nutrition challenges back. And really, the way that I see these nutrition challenges, or we see these nutrition challenges, are kind of like our monthly badges that we do, right? Like we're in the anti-New Year, New Me challenge, where we're challenging people to do 20 workouts in one of the busiest months of the year. So it's like pushing you outside your comfort zone, but it's not totally unobtainable like a 75 hard, where it's like, whoa, this is completely running my life. And we want to do the same thing with nutrition challenges, is make it, put you a little bit outside your comfort zone, where you're going to have to kind of reach for some habits, but it's not a total stretch, but it's also the habits that we believe people should work on.
Yeah, and so we're going to make them more challenging, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, swing them back to like more challenging, where you're going to actually have to, it's not like you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to just like aim for 80% this month and I'm just going to crush this challenge. Like you're going to have to work hard to, do it.
Yeah, and we've kind of had to like remind our internal team, but then also like when we put it out to the members, not everybody needs to participate in everything all the time. Because if we need everybody to participate in everything all the time, then we can't make it challenging for the people who are ready to like push themselves out of their comfort zone.
Yes, and it's okay if you're not you're not going to always be ready to do a nutrition challenge.
No, like if you had a weigh and measure nutrition challenge right now, I wouldn't participate in it.
Right.
Like, I need to just get back to eating lunch.
Yes.
And I know that it would be too much for me right now at this stage, and that's totally fine. But that also is why I like how, at least currently, and we've talked about changing this, so just listen up, everyone. You can jump into any of the 30-day programs when you are ready and when you want to do it, because street parking was founded on the idea that people are busy.
Yes.
And so you can choose which one that you want to do and you want to follow or whatever. So you don't feel like you have to participate in the current nutrition challenge.
Yeah. And I mean, there's benefits to both. There's benefits to being able to, on a random Tuesday, jump into one of our 30-day programs because you're ready to start on a Wednesday and you don't have to wait. But there's also some benefit in doing something together with the camaraderie of the community, the coaches, and all of that.
Yeah, that's what we've found with oh my word, Chris is calling me.
Oh,
decline.
That's
what I found with what we found with the badges. It's so funny because the first one that we started with officially and where we really promoted it was the Systember.
Yes.
With the Sisyphus Gauntlet, and that program had been out for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And we doubled the number of people who had earned that badge by just saying, hey, we're all going to do it together.
Yes.
And so I think that there is something to that too. So for 2025, do you have an idea? And again, like, guys, don't hit us up in an email in December next year about this. But do you have an idea right now in December of 2024, like how many challenges you're trying to do?
At least 3. So one at the beginning of the year, just to kind of set like a home base for the remainder of the year. So it's going to involve a few different nutrition habits, some lifestyle habits like walking, not drinking alcohol, drinking water, and you know, have one at the beginning of the year to just like start off on a good foot. But then again, have these habits that you can always come back to depending on where your life takes you over the course of the year. Kind of doing one, you know, maybe before the summer. That's always a good time to kind of like come back to the habits, check in with yourself. And then fall is always a good time after the summer. So kind of ideally it would be 3.
Do you see them all being similar, or do you see like them having some variation?
They probably would have some variation, like maybe one might focus on one of our specific 30-day programs or one of our tools that we offer, like the street parking nutrition templates. So they might hone in on one thing where we can get a group of people that want to focus on that one thing together, and then maybe keep it broad for the other 2.
When you like put on a nutrition challenge, I think a lot of times people associate, because there's the like influencers that'll do the before and after photos, and we've done those before, and
back in
there's nothing wrong.
There's nothing wrong with it.
With doing before and after photos. But when someone's like signing up for a nutrition challenge with street parking, are they signing up for a weight loss like what are they signing up for goal wise?
I would say they're signing up to build better habits that are going to
build back better.
Build better.
We're someone's canceling because I made that joke.
Habits that will sustain like your lifetime, right?
Okay.
So habits that you, like I said, like drinking more water, maybe that is, you know, learning to cook your lunch. Habits that you can carry and build off of and do more complicated things with your nutrition, but build habits that'll kind of last you for a lifetime. There's that. You'll also, it's like the learning component too. We have a ton. I don't think our members realize how many resources we have available to them in nutrition, both paid and free. So I think also what's beneficial about the participating in the nutrition challenge is it gets members to explore the tools that are available to them that they might not know or really dive into because they've never been nudged to do that.
Here's a question. Let's say you have a member that like has done multiple nutrition challenges. They've done the template and they were successful at it. And this is just like, you're just going to have to, you don't know necessarily. But what do you think is the reason that someone like that would see carnivore, for example, and be like, oh, I should do that, even though they've had success and it's worked for them? And it's like, what do you think it is in people's brains that fires that off of like, oh, I should try this extreme thing, even though I know what I need to do?
I mean, it can be like come from a place of maybe feeling slightly bored with what they know they need to do. So something new kind of seems like it'll rejuvenate them and make them more excited to do it because it's different. I feel
like with fitness or nutrition, I feel that people love to do really hard things for a short period of time. Yes. They love it. Like, and we see that even with people who work for us. They'll do like this extreme, thing with their training or their nutrition, and this has always happened. But it's the day to day, like between the extreme things, that is just not. It's like people need it to be. And to be honest, like Julian can even be like that a little bit sometimes. Like he has to make the workout like more aggressive or whatever. Like just do the workout the way it is, or go faster. It's like the joke that I make about people wanting to put a weight vest on. It's like just go faster. You don't need to throw on the weight vest. Yes. Or it's so funny though, because nutrition is the same as fitness. Again, like we see the same. There's a mental thing that's very similar, and it's probably similar to other things too, not just fitness and nutrition. But like we'll ask Brittany, for example, who works in our support. We're like, Brittany, why are people, when people cancel, what do they say? And she's like, well, half the people say that this training's too much, and the other half of the people say that they need to do more. And it's like literally 50-50. And it's like, where is this coming from? Like, and it's just, people always think, well, if I find this one hack, or if I do this one really hard thing, it's going to like change something forever for me.
And I think a lot of the times people think they're going to walk away from a nutrition challenge being totally perfect. Like, oh, I've nailed it. I've got it now.
This is my life.
Where a lot of members have actually said to us, like our long-term members that have participated in various challenges that we've done, the extreme ones, the more chill ones, that they've kind of picked up one habit each challenge, right? It might have been like back in Julian versus Miranda, we had a veggie habit a while back, and that's kind of where they started getting better veggies. And then maybe it was in the Control Your Fitness challenge that they picked up their water habit. So it's like not necessarily that you're going to walk away like, cool, I'm checking every single box and I'm great at it, everything now. It might be like, cool, I'm way more consistent with my water now. And then the next habit and the next challenge, they build off of that. So it's also changing your perspective of like your realistic changes that are going to happen in 4 weeks, both mentally and physically.
The other thing that I like about doing it with the group is feeding off of each other's like ideas and each other's energy, or just like being remembering like, oh shoot, I'm doing a challenge right now. I'm supposed to be doing this water thing, and seeing somebody else post about it could be a reminder. To do it. So I think that can help. I literally eat more fruits and veggies now, not because I'm doing the 800-gram challenge. But this is so funny. Because we sell the 800-gram challenge, I feel like a fraud if I don't eat more. Because I've never been good about fruits and veggies. So I'm like, you are fraudulent. Like, this is so inauthentic. How dare you, like, sell this program? You don't even eat enough. So, like,
He's so disappointed in you.
So I eat more fruits and veggies simply because we sell the 800-gram challenge.
Well, yeah, so that's one of our 30-day programs. So for those of you guys that don't know, they're Street Pregnant members, you have a few different programs available to you. More of those coming in 2025. But I think those can even be overwhelming, right? Somebody will go in, and go into the app, they'll check out the fuel tab, they'll see all these different programs, and they're like, well, where the heck do I start?
Yeah, so that's a good question. If somebody like opens that up, so list what they are first. And there's kind of an order,
and more coming in 2025. But we currently have the 30 days they're all 30 days. So we have the balance plate, we have 800 and the 800-gram challenge. Next up, set to release, is our lazy macros.
Okay.
And then we have 2 more coming in 2025.
Do we still have the templates on there right now?
We have templates, just not the 30-day program.
Okay.
So yes, we also have the templates, the Street Pregnant Nutrition templates.
Do you like how I didn't know?
Are those still available? But
I had, until we moved like a couple months ago, I still had my like template, not the actual template, but my numbers.
Yes. On your fridge.
On my fridge.
I remember that.
For like 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, those can be overwhelming, right? So you open it up, you'll see those, and like which one's right for me? Like which one's the best one? And you can kind of relate it almost to like opening up the daily program, right? You look at it and you're like, which one's for me? And they're all of the nutrition programs that we offer are kind of doing the same thing. They all have the same goal, which is getting you to eat more whole, minimally unprocessed foods. Get more of the things into your diet, more fruits, more vegetables, more protein. Make sure you're eating enough to not only like fuel for performance, for body compositions, to reach your goals, all of those things. So they're all going to do it in a different way. It's just which way you want to go about it. So we have more beginner friendly ones and we have more advanced ones, right? Like 800 grams is going to have you weigh 800 grams of fruits and veggies a day. Whereas balanced plate's not going to involve a food scale at all.
Right.
Lazy macros is going to add on 800 grams and a protein target. So they're going to get more complicated. But I think it's about remembering that it's one, asking yourself, okay, what do I have the time to dedicate to nutrition? And I think we go through different seasons in our life, like what you're talking about, like where you're at, where you're just trying to get lunch in. But whereas like...
I'm on the 30 days of lunch program.
Whereas like you've been there before where you've like meticulously like weighed out your protein powder.
Yeah.
You've done the different things. So kind of asking yourself, what do I have the time to dedicate to nutrition? Even if I was previously this meticulous macro counter, and now I'm a busy mom of 2 that, works a 9 to 5, I have to shuttle the kids around. Okay, what do I have to dedicate to my nutrition? Being realistic with that, and then asking yourself, what am I currently doing with my nutrition? And honestly asking yourself, how consistent am I? And I think that's a really, really tough thing for people to do, is to really okay, I am crushing it Monday through Thursday, but you know what? It's a complete shit show Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I eat whatever I want. I drink alcohol, whatever it is. So I think starting with those first 2 questions can kind of help guide people with where to kind of go with it. Now, it's also, you can't mess it up by doing one thing. Now, you might reach for the more advanced thing and be like, oh, you know what, this is a little bit harder for me to stick with because I don't have the time for it. But you can't really mess it up. Even if you are more advanced and you go through the balanced plate program and you're like, oh, well, that was really easy for me. I already crush getting a protein, carb, and fat and some veggies on my plate every day. So that was simple. And it's like, okay, well, now you're consistently doing that. That's your honest check-in with yourself. So now you're ready for more. So kind of asking yourself those 2 questions, I think, can be really helpful. You can always reach out to us. You can just email nutrition@streetparking.com and we can chat about where you're at and help guide you. But I think it's about knowing that you can't mess it up, just like selecting the daily program.
Right, that's what I was just thinking when you were saying that is, I feel also that people view that they're either in or out. I'm either doing a nutrition program or I'm not doing it at all. And there's no, how we talk a lot about training, for example, if you are feeling good one day, then go for it. Push it. Even if the rest of the week you're mailing it in a little bit. But if you find yourself on a day being I like this workout, I have good energy, I slept good last night, great, go for it. Or, I have more time to do, I'm going to do an extra program on top of it today. But a lot of times people, their mentality is, well, I'm either following 5-3-1 and I'm doing this program, or I'm not doing it at all. And there's very little room for, well, on Wednesday, I actually weighed and measured my food, but I didn't the rest of the week. There still is benefit in that.
Yes.
Because you're learning, and it's take advantage of your good days. I think, one of the things that, like you said, I have weighed and measured my food heavily, as have you, at certain stages. Similarly, I've taken my training way more seriously in the past than I do now. Find your seasons, and that might not come for you in 2025 at all. But find your seasons of okay, this summer I'm gonna dial in my nutrition, and I know that I'm gonna be able to do it. Summertime, and that might be the worst time for you, but I'm just giving an example. Or some of the training programs that we have coming up in 2025 also, you might say, this is the year that I can actually really focus in on this and do it. And there's so much benefit to that. Knowing that you're not going to live your whole life like that, but take advantage of those times when you have it. Even if it's next week, I can weigh and measure my food the whole week because I have no extra school stuff and I've got no one coming in town. And at least for a week, I know I can do it. Or at least for a week, I know I can hit 800 grams. After that, I'm going on vacation and I'm gonna lose it. But don't feel like you need to complete this 12 week or 30, anything. Even if you get into one of those programs and you are on day 3 and something happens and I missed day 4 and 5, just pick up day 4. When you get back to it, and there is benefit, just like training. Just because you miss Wednesday doesn't mean you wait till Monday and then you need to start all the way over. I think people have a really hard time with that with nutrition stuff. They're either all in 100% and dialed in, measuring their protein powder, or they're just say screw it.
Well, yeah, and you got to look at it like you have a nutrition toolbox, and you have to pull out, again, it's that honest conversation with yourself, but pull out the tool that you can, for that day and that moment that you need. It's like you're describing, this whole week I've been able to weigh and measure my food perfectly, but now, you know what, it's dinner time, my kids are completely melting, everyone is screaming, and I need to get dinner on the table. I don't know, I can't weigh my food right now. Okay, cool, what can I do? Like, I'm going to focus on protein and like building your plate that way instead of it being, oh, to hell with it, I'm just going to eat the box of cookies. It's like, no, there's still win there, even if it looks a little bit different than what you did the previous day. And that's like, it's not giving yourself an out to completely give up. It's saying, oh, I can't do this, so cool, I'm going to just pull out this tool. It's like the more than nothing is a fail safe. It's not your everyday, but it's a fail safe. Okay, cool, I'm in a situation where I don't have any equipment, I've had such a long day, I'm going to move at the bottom of my bed. It's not your consistent everyday, but it's your fail safe. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what, like more and more, and this like applies to much things that are outside of fitness and nutrition, but the last thing that we would ever want, and this is mostly for people who have kids or a spouse or someone like that, whatever, your coworkers, if I'm like being mean to my children because I can't measure my food, like that's a problem. Like, we don't want to create that environment.
No.
It's not worth it at that point. And so, obviously, planning helps, right? So, doing that stuff so that you're not trying to do it every single day at lunch. You're every single day you have to prep your lunch before you can get out the door. Like, maybe pre-pack it all in one day or whatever. But that's, like, a big thing for me just in life in general. Like, if this thing is causing me to be mean to my husband and my children, something's got to change. Like, this is not the right stage, or I need to plan better, or I need to organize better. But it's also not a license to say, well, I'm just not going to take care of myself at all because I need to take care of all these other people around me and make sure, So I think there's part of it too where that's why we have all the options of the workouts and the nutrition. Because at least if I can look at my plate and be like, this is the most random meal ever. I have this like honey baked ham protein from a couple nights ago, and like a piece of my kid's pancake from earlier today, and some apple slices. Like, all right, it's weird, but I'm hitting I'm getting some grams. I've got some carbohydrate. I've got some protein. Let me grab a handful of cashews. And it's not ideal, and it's not this. You're not going to put a picture of it on Instagram necessarily, but. I think we want to help people build flexibility in their nutrition the same way that we do with their fitness. Yes. And again, like if I'm screaming at my kids because it's like, no, today's my 70% lifting day. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, why though? Like, who, for what? Like, what are you training for sir? Yes. Like, unless you actually are training for some sort of event, like why are you allowing this to have such a strong hold on your life? And I really think that it's because, and maybe this is just me in therapy at this point, but like, we want to feel like we have something in our life that we can control.
Oh, yes.
And for many of us, fitness and nutrition became that.
Yes, very much. And I think also, too, the identity piece of, well, that's who I was and that's what I used to be able to do. I used to be able to weigh and measure everything, and I had the time for it and to dedicate it, and it got me these results. And I think sometimes that unrealistic expectation of like where you're at now in your life, you sleep less, you have more stress, whatever it is, like it's very different. But the identity piece can be hard too.
Do you hear people say, because I can see how people could say this, and I've seen this comment made before, I'm older now, so this nutrition plan doesn't work for me.
Yes.
I have to change it because of my age.
Yes.
Or I have to change my fitness now because of my age. And I'll speak from the fitness side of it because we've gotten these messages. And I'm like, is it your age? And so you think you need to do something less? Or is it that you can't do what you did before because you're now 50 and you were 35 when you started, and you won't allow yourself to use the 25-pound dumbbells instead of the 35? Or you won't allow, like, can't accept that your body just is going to look different at some point. And so you think it's your fitness program that needs to change, where really it's like you need to accept, not, and by no means like, hey, when you get old, you just get out of shape and chubby. Like, I'm not saying that at all, but like there are some real things, or maybe you're just not pushing as hard as you used to because you work out at home now and on less sleep and everything, and there's a real, so yeah, you're not going to be as fit as you were before. do you see, like, and so I think nutritionally too, like people will say, well, it worked for me when I was younger, but now I have to change something because I'm older.
Yes, for sure. And, you know, a lot of times it's hard too because as people get older, they are more sedentary. Like if you think about it, as your kids get older, you're maybe not running around outside with them, playing more, chasing around toddlers. And so recognizing that lack of just daily movement, even outside of workouts, can be hard for people. And it is tough because aging and your body changing is hard. But yeah, I think that sometimes it can be the like, well, I have to do this because I'm now at this stage.
Well, yeah, and that's what Julian and I will talk about. Like, as I mentioned, I used to eat Chipotle every day and like the French toast with the syrup like 2-3 times a week, pizza twice a week as per Neil Maddox's orders. And it was just simply like I run lean. And so I had to just eat and eat because of what we were doing. And, so yeah, like of course, if I was doing that, I had to change my nutrition, but that's just, it's not an age thing. I'm not moving as much. And then I've noticed when I go through windows of feeling better and pushing more intensity, I naturally will kind of want to eat more.
Yeah.
That's another good question. I think another good thing to mention for people, if you're going to, because people will go into 2025, and I feel like people are in like one of two camps. They either go hard on I'm going to change my training and do some cool stuff with my training, or I'm going to go hard on the nutrition. If you're planning on ramping up the intensity or adding volume to your training, it will make you more hungry.
Yes.
And you can end up like not having the results you're looking for simply because you're not paying attention to the amount of food increase.
It's justified because of the intensity. Like, oh, well, I need to eat this additional donut because I went so hard in the workout today.
Or people will have aesthetic or fitness goals and refuse to eat more.
Yes.
And won't change their food. And it's like, hey, you need more food. Kind of like how I was.
Yes.
So I think it's a mistake to focus wholly on one or the other.
Oh yeah, because they go together. Yeah.
And like seeing how they play off of each other, and that kind of like goes along with the aging thing too. One of the things that we may or may not be talking about as we go into 2025 is like
one of them.
The importance of strength training.
Yes, which is very important. Speaking of aging,
and also very vague as a thing to say. Like we already do strength training, like the daily programs, because they're you're moving an external load, or even the way that you're moving your body weight. Like it's all strength training. But we're going to get a little bit more specific about it in 2025, and I don't want to give it all away.
Secrets.
Right, but that might be something where if somebody's going to latch on to, hey, I really want to like take advantage of this, because as we age, one of the reasons that people struggle with like fat gain and all of that is just because we tend to lose muscle. Like your body's like, all right, I'm not running around playing flag football anymore and like carrying babies and all this stuff. Like I don't need this much muscle mass, and it will, especially if you're not eating enough or training as hard, like your body, you'll lose muscle. And I remember we used to teach at the seminars that starting at the age of 20, like women will, I don't remember the rate of muscle loss, but your body will you'll start losing muscle. And I think men, it's a little bit older, but that's a big element too. So, because I think a lot of times people are like, well, I don't need to do strength training. Like, I don't care how strong I am. Like, I don't care what my 1 rep max is. Like, I just want to be able to, there's like so many benefits to it, but one of the biggest benefits is maintaining muscle mass on your, like that's my biggest goal at 42.
Yes.
And is when I go get my DEXA scans, like I want to keep my lean body mass over 120 pounds for as long as possible. And so will you be able to help people out if they're interested in participating in some of this stuff that we're doing in 2025 with little tweaks to their nutrition?
Yeah, so I think, sorry, we're at an intersection. She was not happy with us. No. So I mean, that is one of our goals in 2025 with nutrition, is providing more tips and kind of how to approach things when you do have these types of focuses. Like you want to build, you want to focus on strength, and what are the things that you can do nutritionally to help support what you're doing in the gym. So, I mean, I think the benefit or the things to focus on if you are trying to prioritize strength is making sure you are eating enough, but also prioritizing protein. Would be super important. But yes, helping people tweak their nutrition. They can always reach out to us any time of the year, regardless of what focus we're on.
Yeah, and really what hopefully you guys will see is it's not going to change that much.
No.
But we want your questions. We want like, hey, I heard that you're supposed to do this, or this is what I've always thought was necessary to what I'm supposed to eat right before I do a strength session, or this is what I'm supposed to do right after, or am I supposed to have more carbs on this kind of training day? Like, ask us that stuff, and we'll be talking about that stuff because there's so much information out there that, well, there'll be opportunities for that. But we have some cool, like, fitness, I don't want to give it all away, but we have some fitness. Like, focusy stuff where we'll be able to talk about specific types of training and nutrition that goes along with it, because I think it'll just be fun. We've found that people had a really good time with September and Rocktober and November, so we're kind of like taking that to a different level for 2025.
Yeah, trying something new.
Where would you say that you are with, because I look at Molly's, you guys probably feel the same way I do. I look at Molly's food, and first of all, it always looks super tasty. And I know she says, like, oh, this is like just a handful grab meal. And I'm just like, well, it looks like...
Natural lighting, just like ourselves, does help food, okay, guys? Just letting you know, you're taking pictures of food. I have lots of natural lighting in my kitchen.
But you've also gone, like, down some weird... Like, I remember trying to get you to eat, like, a piece of bread.
Oh, yeah. I went full paleo.
Like, you were
full
paleo when we met.
Yes.
So, like, where are you at now
with food or meals or what?
Yeah, like, do you have... Like, how often do you weigh anything?
So I hadn't weighed food for a really long time because I was so consistent for a long time. I knew that what I needed to eat. And because I eat majority of the same things throughout the week, like we have our same dinners, I kind of rotate, same lunch, breakfast, that makes it easier. So this is kind of going back to what we're talking about with recipes. I do less extravagant recipes aside from the street parking ones weekly. So I know roughly what I need to eat to sustain body weight without really weighing and measuring. But on occasion, I like to go back to the scale because it can become a little bit of a free-for-all. Like all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm grabbing more tortilla chips throughout the day or whatever it is. So I've kind of gone back to tracking for just a little bit to kind of be like, okay, cool, let's weed out the like just nibbles and bites that are just unnecessary and come back. And then weigh and measure for a little while, and then I'll eventually gravitate away from it. But I mean, to the cooking side of things, I do enjoy cooking. It's always been a bit of like, I don't know, therapeutic type thing for me. So I do enjoy cooking. But I think it would be kind of a fun challenge for those of you guys that don't enjoy cooking, is to try to challenge yourself like Miranda is and at least cook one meal a week, one lunch a week.
I thought about, you know, one of the reasons that I have like the social media following that I do was, remember those...
the cookies, the Molson Hard cookies.
No, the cooking snaps.
The cooking snaps.
Yeah, where I used to like, I made fun of myself basically. I was like, I don't know how to cook. It was when I lived in an apartment by myself and when Julian and I were dating. And I would like... It was great. Do Snapchat videos of me trying to figure out the difference. Like, is there a difference between baking soda and baking powder? Yes. Like, I don't know.
Yes.
And because I felt like so many people could relate to that. And then I had kids. And then it was like, I can barely cook, let alone film myself cooking. But yeah, I think like challenging yourself to try to learn how to cook healthier or cook at all or whatever. People just... I know that like the drive-through window is easier or whatever.
Or even like challenging yourself to find a, like, if the drive-through is your go-to, challenge yourself to be like, okay, cool. Instead of doing my drive-through one night a week, I'm going to go into the grocery store and do a quick meal. I'm going to go grab a rotisserie chicken and a bag of salad and a potato to heat up in the microwave. Like, challenge yourself in that way if you're not ready for like the full-on cooking spread.
Yeah, because it can be fun. The other thing I was just thinking about when you were talking about your food and even... You know, we joke around about like, oh, I don't weigh and measure. Yeah. And I think that's one of us talking like that, I think is one of the ways that people will be like, well, clearly they just have like a certain genetic makeup because I weigh and measure and I've been weighing and measuring for 6 months, let's say. And like, I have to try so hard and I have to eliminate all these things and I still don't, you know. I think it's important to say that at a certain point when you've been consistent, very similar to like your fitness, your body naturally has, and we have this, like, we're born with this ability to know how much food we need. And we lose it because of the types of foods that we eat and because how available tasty foods
Oh my
are.
gosh, they're everywhere.
And you lose that as we go through life, but you can reset it in a way. It's easy for it to go off the rails again.
Yes.
But like I mentioned, I've noticed when I kick up the intensity, naturally I find myself eating more, and that's when you just have to have the good foods around. Because if I find myself eating more and all I have around is
chips and cookies and crackers and all
yeah,
of...
then I'll eat all that stuff. But it takes a I don't know how long. I'm sure there's been some, you can hit up Huberman about this one, but like at a certain point you can reset what homeostasis, and you can reset like your body's ability to know when it's hungry or full.
Yeah.
And what foods it needs and stuff, but it does take a really long time. And so us being able to not weigh and measure is not because it's like some genetic thing. It's because we were so hardcore with it for so long that we really, because you will be hungry. You will have a feeling of hunger at first when you go to change some of this stuff. You will crave the foods that you are used to. You'll feel maybe tired a little bit at first. And all of that's normal because you got to like reset the system. You got to like unplug it and plug it back in.
Unplug it and plug it back in. And I mean, the environment like you're talking about is really important. And your environment is prompting you in all of your habits. And the more that you can kind of put friction between you and those types of foods that you tend to gravitate to when you get super hungry, if you have the chips, the crackers, the cookies, more friction that you can put between you and those certain things, the better, because otherwise if they're there and they're easy to grab, you'll just eat and eat and eat and eat. So not buying things is a great way to do it, where you don't have them available to eat and eat, in your kitchen and things like that.
Yeah, we had to tell Julian's dad to stop bringing ice cream to our house. We're like, we
like to go out and get it.
Yeah, like our boys think ice cream is like a go-to thing. Like,
yes.
We don't want them to think that, this is just something we can have here all the time. And I made some cookies. I made some ginger snaps for Thanksgiving. And we eventually, of course, like they're super tasty. We would just find Knox like hammering these like ginger snaps out of the fridge. And just because they're there, it's not because he's hungry or anything like that. And so you can see it in little kids. And it's not, obviously we don't like shame him or anything like that about it. But if those just weren't there, he wouldn't even be in the kitchen at all.
Yeah.
He's not in there because he's hungry. He just thought, it sounds tasty and they're there. And so, yeah, I think that's a big thing too. So I think just as you're going into 2025, and you can give your advice for this too. Do you have a car? Do you need to go get your car?
No, I don't have a car.
Who did you come with?
Benny.
Oh, okay.
Benny drove me to you.
So we can just go to my house?
Yes.
Okay. As you're going into 2025, like, be realistic with where you're at, because I don't know, this podcast will go up sometime in December, I'm assuming. That's your lifestyle probably isn't going to, your life, day-to-day life is probably not going to be that much different on January 1st than it is mid-December. So realistic with where you're at, but also just because if you're not ready to jump in and like weigh and measure everything, which if you are, be excited about it and do it. That's awesome. But if you're like, well, I don't know about that, I can't see myself being successful with that, or I was planning on doing that, but like realistically, it's probably going to be a nightmare. Find something though. And it could be like, you could be like me and just say, you know what? My goal going into it is to first, I just need to eat lunch, or I just need to make sure I have protein at every meal, or I just need to, and then take the opportunity with the challenge, because even if you are not wildly successful at all of it, doing it with other people will get you involved. And again, like, it's so funny how as soon as we're like, we're doing rucking, everyone's like, okay, we'll do it.
Yeah, so like this program's been here forever and they've never touched a ruck, and now everyone's rucking.
Yeah, it's like this camaraderie thing that happens. And so we invite you guys to participate in that for sure, and jump on any of those opportunities. The things people will do when the whole group is doing it is really funny and also scary.
Yeah. And I mean, we have it'll be our Jumpstart Nutrition Challenge in January, which will be a good opportunity to kind of like get back into some good habits right after the holidays. Like where you're not totally broken, you're just feeling a little bit beat up after, maybe all of the cookies and drinks and things that you've had. So it's not this like 75 hard overhaul, but it's just going to be a good little like a
You have
start.
to eat raw eggs while in the ice bath.
While in the ice bath, and then you have to only solely work outside in the
People are
cold.
going to get mad. Do you know you learn anything from my 75 hard post like 3 years ago? People were so angry when I made any sort of reference. First of all, it's not a challenge, Molly. It's a lifestyle, okay?
But yeah, I encourage you guys to, our Jumpstart Challenge will be a great opportunity to kind of set the tone for the year. I know, like Miranda's saying, January 1 versus December 31st, you are the same person, but a lot of people like to use the new year as a chance to kind of kick off with some good habits. So the Jumpstart Challenge will be a full nutrition challenge. So it'll be a great opportunity to jump in, explore the tools that we have available at Street Parking, and do it with the community and coaches for support, questions, and all of that. But outside of challenges or not, we're always here to help all any of the members with questions.
Oh, we're here for you.
We're here for you.
I can't look at the camera right now. I'll crash.
Okay. Anything else?
What did you eat for breakfast today?
I made it. I arrived last night and I DoorDashed some groceries. So I got.
You're really good about that stuff too. I'm so bad about that.
It's just, I like we were talking about the going and eating out every meal. I know I'll be eating dinners out probably. So I like to have at least like breakfast and lunch is good. So I bought pre-sliced veggies. I'm staying in a hotel room with a kitchen. But I got some squash that was already sliced and some potatoes. So I had potatoes, squash, and egg whites. And some coffee.
And at that place where you're staying, it has like a little stove?
Has a little stove.
Okay,
So nice. I just bought some cooking spray, a little
Just
avocado
picturing you,
spray.
like, cooking squash and potatoes in your microwave.
No, so it's nice. It has an actual stovetop and microwave. And a coffee pot.
And what did you have for lunch? For
lunch, I had the same squashes because I just cooked it. And I had some microwavable rice. And I had some ground beef with some little
You are much
sauce.
better fueled for this workout that we're about to do than I am.
Where'd you have? Please tell me you had something else besides that perfect burr. Also, look at our coffees. There's two types of people: the sipper and the gulper.
I had some of my children's waffles and some scrambled eggs and a chicken sausage and some apple for breakfast.
There we go.
And then I had that perfect bar.
Perfect bar.
And it's 2:30 p.m.
That's not enough food.
When the vault that we're about to film, I think it's like week 8 or something like that.
Okay.
So you guys can reference how we were both fueled for this performance. Maybe they can make a funny clip from this podcast with me dying and Molly just being.
No, I'm gonna die too. It'll be great. We'll die together. Fueled
Sometimes
and not fueled.
I'm like, Molly is so much more fit than me.
I'm not.
And then I remind myself she eats so much better than you do. Like I want to blame it on the fact that I have one extra kid and that I'm older than you.
You do. You have one extra kid, and we're both going to be in our 40s though next year. I turn 40. In like 5 months.
I'm like, I'm older than her. I had one extra pregnancy, and then my reality angel is like, she also, you'll text her at like 9 p.m. and she's asleep. And I
have been prioritizing my sleep.
She eats food.
That is a huge one, you guys. I will say your sleep it can impact your nutrition decisions. It can impact your hunger levels, your workouts, sleep. If you have a little control over it, don't doom scroll and get to bed earlier.
I will say this though, you can get pretty fit on lack of sleep. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Julian and I have been traveling a lot lately, and he will look at me and he'll be like, "How did you do this?
You're not normal. For the normal
How
person
did you do this?
Should prioritize sleep.
How did you live like this?" And I was like, I was trying to compete in the CrossFit Games while I was sitting on these airplanes. Yeah, it was not ideal. But what I'm trying to say is, even if you're going through a season of lack of sleep, and not eating the best, like just keep doing your best, because you don't need to like say, well, screw it.
Yeah.
Like just plug it away, do the best that you can, because that actually goes really far is what I'm trying to say.
It does.
It's what street parking was founded on.
No sleep.
If you can be fit
and
in
coffee.
a hotel gym with perfect bars, then we should make a program that's all about that.
All right. Well.
Okay. Well, we're gonna go do the vault workout.
Wish us luck.